What's going on, everyone? So, today I wanted to actually touch on the concept that is Star Wars Jedi Survivor and how it released, the way in which the developers decided that it was okay to release it this way. Now, I get there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the gaming developer world and people higher up above them. I'll get into that a little bit more. But yeah, basically, just want to touch on these smaller concepts of the actual game when it comes to production value, performance, and you know some of the smaller things that also go into that as well. So to get started off, we can just talk about what it's supposed to be. It's a sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and so that was a great game. Upon release, I think it kind of went through something similar a little bit, but nothing quite like this. It was pretty decent still, and performed okay. Obviously, in 2023, we know as PC gamers, we're going to get handed shit most of the time throughout a game's early release. We're not going to get to fully experience a game the way it should be. Apparently, we just got to keep getting used to that. And, we see that in the reviews here. You get the few and far between people where I'm over here. I just absolutely don't agree with a lot of these positive reviews. I feel like they're almost paid. I can't even guarantee that to be the truth, but nonetheless, there's no way that a lot of these people that are positively reviewing this really mean that they're getting I think that their experience is a little bit more subjective when it comes to, you know, being on scale and pick it up on scale when the performance improves, it goes hard. I don't really think that they understand what it means to go hard as a video game upon release when you're paying $70 for a game. I just don't think that that's something a lot of these people fully understand yet. I think, they might have good setups, decent. After the first world, it ran perfectly fine. I can guarantee that that is not the case. Personally, I am running a Ryzen 9. I have a 3060. Sure, not the highest VRAM allocation that can be on any GPU, but still nonetheless, I'm running those two components alone plus 32 gigabytes of VRAM. I'm very confused how these people are claiming this when I'm getting, at the lowest points, like 25, 27 FPS in certain areas. And then at maximum in actual gameplay is maybe 50. That's not good with my specs. And then you're paying $70 for a game. I get it though. Like I said, we could get into this a little bit more. Yes, there are shareholders who are putting pressure on dates. They already did delay this game. I was excited about that. I thought that, we're going to actually get a cool, complete version of this game that runs really well. Did not happen. Disappointing. Truly, through and through. I did a refund on it this time because, to be honest, I'm not going to be ready to shell that money out for a game that is just absolutely completely incapable of being played, even by let alone their minimum requirements, but their recommended requirements don't even come close to getting above 60 plus frames per second on PC. It's just not even a competition. And I don't even think that they're guaranteeing that on console right now either. So there's a lot that they have to work on. And where I want to get into that is pulling up some of these reviews on IGN, because that's where it gets a little bit more interesting. And so on IGN, we have, their review of this Star Wars Jedi Survivor slammed on Steam over performance issues. So yeah, just one more time looking at these reviews, they're mostly negative. They claim it's mixed. There's 6,100, almost 6,200 reviews right now. It is pretty mixed here. Where you see 3,400, almost 3,500 reviews, almost 3,100 reviews on each side. It's pretty half and half here for amount of reviews between positive and negative. However, some of these reviews are just kind of, a little on the positive side. At least they are a little spammy, if you will. I will say this guy with 12.6 hours in the game, that's pretty, that's up there in comparison for how quick they'd be playing this game. They say they have had fun so far. There hasn't been any crashes. The only issue, and it's very big as of this writing, but the frames are always consistently dropping. There are a few moments where it picks up, but more when it drops. Despite that, the story, gameplay, and customization options really make this game a must-have. I do recommend it, but only if the issues won't deter you immensely from buying the game. I mean, to be honest, I think that those issues should 100% be deterring you from buying this game. It's a $70 EA, one of the biggest franchises of all time, producing a game through Respawn, which is the development team, which basically created Apex Legends, for example. When they're, contracting out a team like this, and then they expect it by a specific deadline, and they, as developers, say, hey, we might need a little bit more time on this, and they decide, no, it doesn't matter anymore. We don't care. We're just going to get our money and cash in. There's no more delays. And therefore, that's what we get as consumers as a product, is what just came out. That's where I am 100% going to put my foot down and say that that is absolute bullshit. Don't accept that. That is garbage. We need to start stepping away from even being able to, allow game development teams to produce, fine, you can produce it 100%. You have to find out how to get to what the right step is. That's given, right? But whenever you have these shareholder people holding these people accountable way more than they should be, whenever it takes a lot of time to develop a game that is good, concise, very little bugs, and truly offers good gameplay, it's going to take a lot more time than they anticipate. And this is the type of stuff where I think you start seeing in these reviews right here. So this guy says, okay, let me go old man one track and scream from my lawn a bit. At IGN, when doing reviews, it is imperative that you start reflecting bugs, performance issues within your score. The only way we will ever get a scenario where devs release a game that isn't broken is if you guys score it that way. I know it sucks for a game to be reduced to a numerical value, but the fact is consumers and devs both use the Metacritic score, and until you guys hit them on that score, most consumers won't know better, and developers will still keep pumping out this mess. This is a repost, but sorry, I want my point to be heard. Basically, they're saying exactly that. What I kind of just summarized in the former there, we will just keep getting this kind of nonsense unless, critics that are supposed to be not just like a medium between, gamers and developers. It's like a medium between gamers and the higher ups that have the money in it. Like, we need critics to be the people who are calling those people out too, even more. Because right now, we absolutely have no ability to keep these people accountable. It's basically just, we're going to buy it anyways, and they know that, and they're taking advantage of that right now because gaming is still pretty early on. Even though games have always been around in human culture, video games themselves as like a top of its class kind of concept, like the big high developers are going to be taking advantage as much as they can. And that's exactly what's taking place. I think that, it's very much like One Track says. We should probably be, taking a step back from even getting a game within its first month. And then it goes back to say to this guy here. Video games nowadays have 2 release dates: the day the game is available for purchase and to be played, and then the day the game finally gets patched and now it's good, complete, and mostly free of glitches and performance issues. And those are the 2 basic different release dates nowadays. And that probably started, in the past 2 to 3 years. It didn't, well, not necessarily, it didn't used to always be like that, but like there was also the era of battle royales, free, and then in between you kind of had these single player games creeping in, that claim they're going to be having all these features. Probably started with No Man's Sky. I'd say that is a arguably big failure on like promises that it offered, and that kind of started the whole ball in my video game experiences. But I really do want to see, some of these developers to be held accountable. EA is, obviously one of the richest companies when it comes to games in the world. They should not be putting out something like this incomplete, let alone without, having it be, performing well. Sure, a complete game is fine, but it's not even performing anywhere close to what your recommended specs would have been able to deliver. And so I think we need to start calling them out more than the developers. It's not their fault. So, with all that being said, all I'm saying is, in conclusion, I wish that I could be seeing frames like this in the maximum quality that I would be able to be allowed within my processor and GPU scale. I'm assuming I will definitely be, a little held back from that. But I was never seeing frames like this. And to be honest, I don't feel like I am actually, incapable of experiencing more than 60 frames per second with my certain setup. So I think a lot of us would feel that way as gamers. We should all be able to experience 60 FPS, especially if we have the ability to change the video quality, from low to high to epic, whatever it may be that you're playing on. Whenever I was playing, I never ever noticed a single difference in the FPS whenever it came to actual changing quality of video. I was able to go from low, be at 30 FPS while in gameplay, and then change it to epic and still be at 30 FPS. So it's like, obviously there is something going on there. I could do a little bit more research. Maybe you all in the comments could leave me a little bit more information on that too. But nonetheless, we should, as consumers, just be able to change that out and experience a way better fluid gameplay state rather than have to go out of our way to, figure this out ourselves. That's just going to be my opinion on this. Doesn't mean I'm correct. Let me know what you feel.